Hi, at the top of the morning to you laddie and lassies. We're out in the Scottish Open. We're looking at the golf. We're coming in with the traditional bagpipes. And Mistress Fraser is hanging in the wings. We're looking for the Stones. Have you seen the Stones? Welcome, everybody, to another edition of The Uninformed Fan. Today is Wednesday, Cap Wednesday. We're coming into a very special week. It is Majors Week once again. Whoa. Not the U of Miami. No. We're talking about the Scottish Open. The Scottish Open, which we are now going to do. And I don't know if that accent was right or not, but we're going to roll with it. Jeffrey, how are we doing on this fabulous day?
We're doing great. Yeah, Scottish Open that we just finished up, moving into now the British Open that we have, the Royal Liverpool. You know,
it's just the Open.
Diving into that. It's the Open now. It's not the British Open anymore. You can't call it that because they do travel around everywhere, whether it be Scotland or Ireland. Even Welsh, Little Wales as well too. I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great.
Where the Thomas clan hails from?
Yeah, well, so obviously Schneider we have on one side, my last name, but we also have the Campbells on the other side. So if you've ever watched, was it Outlander? I guess
that's what I was just talking about at the beginning.
Yeah, the Campbells and the something. That's like my heritage. I remember I was taking care of a guy one time, and he was asking me, and he's like, "Oh, back in the day, we would have killed each other at this table right here." And I'm like, "Well, do you want the sliders, or were we going to go with the cheeseburger, sir?" Pleasure. Thank you so much.
I think we've talked about this a little bit, but you do. I think I did tell you this. My grandparents' side's last name is Schneider. I have an entire family that is Schneider. But are you?
There's a tree around here.
Do you hail from Germany or do you hail from other territories?
German on my dad's side.
So you're canceled.
Germany.
Canceled.
Why?
If we're doing this is one of the things that I've always said. If we're doing cancel culture, I don't want to see anybody driving around in a fucking Mercedes, a BMW, or anything German, because that entire country should have been canceled based on the statistics of what we're dealing with now. Germany is by all means just canceled. No more Oktoberfest, no more German beers, no more latte-da-da-da, no more scooter-da-da-da. Nope, everybody's canceled. So if you're from Germany, dude,
no more nothing.
You're canceled.
That's crazy. Do you So I do want to mention as well too. Obviously, what today is the 18th. Is that correct? 19th.
Today's July 19th, 2023.
Speaking of heritage and where we came from, any significance to this day at all, Tyson?
No, just another day. Another day.
For those of you that don't know,
Florida.
We do want to wish Tyson a very happy birthday today.
Thank you.
He is at the ripe age of
old.
We'll just put a question mark there.
I'm 45 years old.
45 years old.
I'm 45 years old, dude. I feel like I'm 23. It's an absolute shit show. I act like I'm 23.
How do you do that? How do you feel like you're 23? Because I'm 37 and I feel like I'm 62.
You have 3 kids.
Yeah, it's true.
I have 2 dogs and a wife. So the wife kind of negates each other, but your situation is awfully different, and I'm not really going to dissect that and all of the blessed things that you have and the surroundings that you have. But yes, it's a little different when you don't have any children in the mix. You tend to still have that carefree feeling a little bit. You can still do whatever you want, whenever you want, as long as your wife approves. But yeah, I mean, mentally, like I said, and maturity wise, I might even be lower than that. I don't know.
What are we doing to celebrate the birthday?
We're not doing shit. I don't celebrate birthdays. It's just another day to me. It holds no significance to me. It's just.
I mean, it holds significance to your mom and dad who had you.
I guess. Well, they should go celebrate them for creating this amazingness. This amazingness. Yeah, we did. We went to the Bull and Bear last night. Pretty shit. I mean,
Great
honestly,
place.
The food was really good. Everything else was kind of bleh. I mean, it's time to do a little updating, which they were updating the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, which I didn't know Hilton owns, by the way.
Yeah, they're going through a renovation.
But they need to renovate the restaurant as well. I felt like I was in Harvey Specter's New York back room, which that was kind of cool.
That's cool, though.
Yeah, the back room bar type thing. But we went to sit down and immediately, like a bartender comes flying around the corner. She goes, "I'm sorry." She didn't actually say, "I'm sorry." She said, "You can't sit there. Those are reserved for someone. You can sit on the other end." I was like, "Oh, okay. Cool. So we go sit on the other one. Whatever. That was fine. But then we get into the restaurant. It's just very dark, which is I'm fine with that. But then I sit down on like the booth thing or whatever, and the wood divider goes straight up my ass. There's like no padding.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, happy birthday. I asked if I
ordered that.
I asked if I had to pay for that. But the food was excellent, and the pours were freaking heavy, dude. I only had 2 drinks. I just had a Moscow Mule, but it appears that there was like 6 to 8 ounces of vodka in it. It was a rocks glass this big, and it was completely full. Now Bianca, she just had. She wanted to try this new vodka. It's called Beluga vodka. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but there's a couple different kinds. There's an Icelandic version, and then there was a gold version. So she tried both. So she had the same glass. Now we just ordered vodka on the rocks. It was filled. So yeah, I mean,
what is that? if I might ask, because I know Beluga is very, very nice, and I'm just curious. Is a place like the Waldorf and Bull and Bear, Michelin starred, right? Michelin starred?
Is that place? No, I don't think so, bro. I don't think so.
Did they get a star?
As a matter of fact, I actually said no star for you.
Is what I said. They might have a recommendation just like us. But the Beluga. First of all, did you try it?
We're talking about the vodka now, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I tried.
Not the Kaluga caviar.
Yeah, I definitely tried it, and it was so smooth. It was so smooth.
Yeah.
Just straight. I mean, just drinking it straight. There was
no burn. What does a bottle of that run? Do you know?
It's not that expensive. I think the drink itself was only $18, and I think Tito's was $19.
Oh.
I mean, shout out to Tito's, but I mean, I don't think Tito's has actually raised their bottle price very much, and it's just the on premises, is when something takes off. But good for the Tito's, bro. American made. I think it's like 5 times distilled out of Texas. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff.
I remember when it first came out, it was like rail vodka.
It definitely really, it was $4 a bottle.
It like that. It was $4. Yeah, and then everybody saw the number one thing that they did, which it's so funny when you think about marketing, right? Because Tito's went and took off because they put one little thing on their label, and they said gluten free. Yeah. Because they put gluten free on their label, they blew up, even though all these other vodkas were already gluten free. You know, it didn't matter, but because they put that one little thing on there, it just took off. Marketing geniuses, congratulations to them. And now anywhere you go, Tito's.
Jeremy said it first. Apparently, he says that. He says I say that all the damn time is what he just said.
I probably got the story from him, so I will give him credit for that. He's probably the one who said it.
Every time I go to one of these places and I have somewhat of a mediocre experience, I go back to I want to open up my own restaurant, and I want to open it up on the beach, little beach shack. A few items, execute to the highest standards. Good shrimp, good fish and chips, good sandwiches, great burgers, best fries that you can find out there, dude. And just make it simple, little baskets, stuff like this. Have cheap drinks, cheap beer, and just provide that atmosphere, little live music and stuff. So actually, I started looking for properties this morning. We'll see how it goes, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Otherwise, it's been a pretty good week. You know who also is having a pretty good week this week?
Who's that?
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods is having a good week, huh?
Tiger Woods' girlfriend, she dropped the lawsuit against his trust. Dropped the $30 million lawsuit. I'd be very curious to see what she got on the back end. Jeremy, I don't know if we didn't see that or not, but Mr. Woods is once again out of the woods.
A lot of signatures that were signed on that. A lot of NDAs. We'll never know a number. I'm assuming it was a fifth of that, maybe.
I don't think it was any of it. What was she supposed to get? It was like $100,000 or $50,000 or something like that. I'll bet it's what the original mark was. But going back further, it's just if you have to get into a relationship with somebody, and I understand that you're a celebrity, right? But if you have to get somebody to sign an NDA about what happens, dude, there's some freaky shit going down. Some freaky shit.
And as a golf fan, it sucks because we remember her being around Ryder Cups, her being around when Tiger won the Masters, and such an emotional moment with him and Charlie, and she's right there in the background. And so like that sucks,
But I think that's a point as well. And to all the single parents out there, I know that this is something as well, but like, I don't feel like you bring them around unless it's that serious, right? Like if I'm bringing you to the Masters with my children and you're being around my children, you're obviously being alone with my children. We're on a pretty serious level, right? I mean,
yeah. which means that, like, if things go sideways, you shouldn't be trying to sue me. You know what I mean? Like, there should be some kind of understanding between the two of us that, like,
I didn't check my lotto tickets. Maybe I'll have to worry about that. Did anybody win the lotto last night?
No, they did not. Mega Millions draws Friday and Powerball's tonight.
Yeah, Wednesday. So I also thought about this. You know, I asked the big man upstairs. I'm like, hey, man, you know, there's $1 billion jackpot on my birthday. Yada, yada, yada. Maybe you hook your boy up. We take home a cool $350 million after taxes, and we have a good day, right? We start taking private jets all around the world, blah, blah, blah.
Where would you go?
Where would I go?
If you won the Powerball, where would you go?
Like to live or
you can live anywhere in the world. No, live anywhere in the world.
Probably Miami.
Permanently. Residence.
Probably Miami. Yeah, probably. Miami or Tampa, one of the two. And then I would have that would be the only house I would own. I would have multiple properties because when you have that much money, and if you put just a good portion of that chunk of money into a just standard interest bearing account, you're going to be clearing over $180,000 a week in interest after taxes. So at that point, I can stay at any Ritz, any presidential suite at $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a night wherever I go. So if I'm going to leave my home and I go to Chicago, I'm going to be pampered. If I go to, anywhere, New York, I'm going to be pampered. You know what I mean? I don't need to invest in all that other stuff. But yeah, I definitely would. How about yourself?
I don't know. It's an interesting question to answer. I would have to look long and hard into it because it would have to be the right situation. We got some good friends of ours who just moved to the Virgin Islands recently, St. John down there. And they're loving it. They love life.
It's beautiful down there. The only reason why I wouldn't do that just yet is just because my parents are still alive and they're still here, so I wouldn't want to be that far away from them. Even though you could just jump on the private jet back and forth, whatever.
I feel like I would maybe keep this house that I just bought, and just kind of do.
No, you wouldn't.
Listen, I'm. Can I finish what I was going to say?
You can, but no, you wouldn't.
I would keep this house. I don't think I would sell this house. I think I would just keep it. I'd just pay it off, and then I go get something different. I don't know if I would get something in Windermere. I feel like I would like to go buy some property and land and develop. I think it would be cool to buy a bunch of acres somewhere and just holler at all your friends and be like, yo, we're building houses. We're living, secluded from everybody.
That's all fun and games until Joe Corvelli doesn't cut his grass. And you have to slap him with the Jeffrey Schneider HOA fine.
Yeah, the HOA fine, man.
Corvelli, cut your shit.
Where like the HOA fines won't have to be like monetary value. Like we could make them be like some kind of I don't know. There'd be something else instead of money.
If you're gonna do something like that, right, and you got this millions of dollars, you're just gonna have a landscaper come in and take care of everybody's shit anyway. But I thought that was pretty funny. But speaking of traveling, right, this weekend we're heading to Budapest. You know what we're doing in Budapest?
What are we doing in Budapest?
We're racing.
We're racing cars?
We're racing cars, baby. And we had some big news out of this week. I don't know if you saw it or not, but Nick DeVries is out as the driver of AlphaTauri. Out, fired, gone, bamboozled, whoop, gone.
Wow.
Any guesses who's taken his seat this week on the grid?
This week on the grid, taking his seat. Let me think.
You like him. He's your boy. You know him.
Is it the kid who was from Red Bull from before?
I can't give you
Let's play this game.
I can't give you any more information.
No.
I will. I will tell you, he used to drive for McLaren.
For McLaren.
He used to drive for McLaren.
It's not my. I thought he was the backup for Mercedes, though.
No, he is a backup for someone.
Who is it?
None other than Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah, I thought Ricciardo was the backup for Mercedes, though, or for
he was the backup for Red Bull. Right.
Okay.
And Red Bull owns the other one as well, AlphaTauri. It's Red Bull AlphaTauri. So he is on loan for the rest of the year. Nick DeVries is out. Daniel Ricciardo's living high. He's back on the grid. I thought he would take over for Sergio Perez this year, but I will say this: the more that we've dug into this, Nico Horner is just continue to praise Sergio Perez. He's doing the right things on the outside. I don't know what's going on behind closed doors. But, as my cousin continued to point out, he's still sitting in second. But as I pointed out, the dude hasn't made it out of Q1 in like 5 races. Okay, with that car, you have to. And there's going to be pressure put on it in regards to that, which Horner did come out and say, we expect more of him, but we are still behind him. We're working through his issues to try to figure out what we can do to help him during the qualifying stages. Because if you look at any of the races that he's in, he's absolutely performing. To some degree, I will say. He's not a good passer, but if he gets up at the front 5, 6, anywhere in the top 10, he's going to finish probably on a podium place. The problem is he continues to drop out. But anyway, Nico DeVries, or whatever the hell, DeVries is out for AlphaTauri Red Bull, and Daniel Ricciardo is back in, who is, as they like to say, a media person's dream in Formula One. So we're going to see a lot of antics. Huh? Yeah, we're going to see a lot of antics. A lot of people are talking about they didn't give him time. They give him this. I guess the dude's like 28 years old, so apparently he's had enough time to shit or get off the pot. But as we've seen, the car hasn't performed very well. So very, very curious to see how Ricciardo slides into that. I am still waiting for it to update on the F1 Fantasy app, because I will be plugging him in there as my driver. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah.
Let's go, Danny. We'll see what happens. They haven't done the qualifying yet, you said, correct?
Starts Friday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Right. Well, practice starts Thursday. Thursday, Friday practice. Those are the 2 practices. You got practice 1. Practice
Who do you
2.
like this week? I feel like we could get a long shot here.
No, we're not. There's going to be no long shots.
No?
The only way Max Verstappen loses a race is if he crashes.
Okay, fair enough.
But what is funny about this is Lewis Hamilton is becoming a little bit more vocal, and he's talking about how no one team should dominate, and that there needs to be adjustments to if he wins the next 3 to 5 years, that's not good for the race and that's not good for the fans. And I sit over to my cousin, I'm like, does Lewis Hamilton know what the hell he's a 7-time championship? He didn't say any of this shit when Mercedes was dominating and nobody else was close. But now he's coming out talking about how this isn't how the sport should be, blah, blah, blah. Like, give me a break, bro. Like, I like him. I do like him. He's a very nice person. But those comments to me are just, as they say,
yeah, sometimes they just,
yeah,
you're a little disconnected from reality.
You would think so.
But we said the same thing when he made those comments about Florida, right? We kind of had that take as well, too. It's like, you don't really
when you're plowing through Shakira and a bunch of different models and, starting that cat fight back and forth, I mean, your mind probably is a little...
Speaking of Shakira, you see who
Shakira. No, but her hips don't lie.
None other than Himothy Buckets. Okay. Justice, I don't know if you're tuned in or listening today, but it is heavily rumored that they have been dating for a little while. So listen, the Jimmy Butler.
A little while. She was just with Hamilton like 3 weeks ago.
This is a few weeks. I think a few weeks old from what I read on TMZ. But yeah, it seems that. Yeah, listen, bro. You got to go right to the source for this stuff.
Yeah. Well, we do have a few other things, to get into outside of Shakira, but, and I apologize to cut you off, but we're running a little bit late. I know that you have a couple topics that you definitely want to get into.
No, we're not.
Yeah, we are.
We're not running late.
It's 11:20, and we still have to break down NFL. That's going to take longer than 10 minutes. And then we have the U.S. Gosh darn it. We have the Open. Not the U.S. Open, just the Open. But anyway, the NFL has decided that, hey, football is just too much fun. We're going to change some things up and screw everybody's fantasy dreams, and we're going to make the defensive linebackers position a little bit interesting with this change of the rule. I'm going to let you explain this rule because until you said it this morning, I didn't really understand it, but I do now. So for all of you football fans out there, listen up because this is going to affect fantasy and anything else moving forward in regards to football.
Let me pull it up real quick just because I want to make sure that I have it. I want to read it verbatim and make sure that it's good to go. Okay, so this is a new rule coming in 2023 on read option handoffs. It says for any handoff on a read option play, the quarterback must hand the ball to a runner either parallel to him or behind him. Anything in front of the quarterback will be classified as an illegal forward pass and will be penalized 5 yards. This is as of July 9th. It's just what I just found out. So I read this and I kind of was shocked by it. And when I've talked to people about it, they're like, yeah, it'll be fine. And I'm like, I don't know if people really understand the length and the depth of what this rule change would do if this is actually implemented into the NFL. The reason is because when you think about
What do you mean actually implemented? Is it not done?
It appears so, but I've reached out to certain professional NFL contacts to get clarification and confirmation that this is happening and is being changed, and I am still waiting on confirmation. So until
TJ didn't text you back?
It's not TJ. Until I have, it's actually a mutual friend that we have who works and is a very high up at EA Sports, developing Madden, who is looking into
who's shitting on players' Madden ratings.
He doesn't do the ratings. Shout out to DCast, appreciate you, bro. But anyway, so the way that this rule would work basically is on that was not okay.
Whew, that was
Black Rifle in there.
Dude, that was
what do you got?
That was the bottom of the coffee cup, dude. Holy shit. I decided because so I stopped using stevia or whatever, or Splenda, because, it's cancer causing, blah, 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 blah. So my wife got me monk fruit. Well, this monk fruit it's called monk fruit. It's like an all natural, but it's just this weird, it's very pungent. I'm having a hard time getting the blend of the sweetness to the coffee right. So instead of doing my Lungo coffee, which if you don't know adds a little bit more water to thin it out, I went straight to the regular coffee, which is brewed straight from espresso beans. So it's already strong to try to cut down the sweetness. I don't know what happened, but I just got kicked in the dick, and yeah.
Happy birthday.
The second half of the show, boys, we are going to be flying.
Oh, I'm sure Paul and Chad can't wait for that.
I'm going to be interjecting all over the place.
Right, exactly. They're going to love it. Anyway, so the reason that this rule to me is a big deal is because when you think about read option quarterbacks, right? Justin Fields, for instance, even, Brock Purdy ran a lot of it, as well as, Shanahan always has it implemented somehow, some way. You think about Jalen Hurts, you think about a guy like Josh Allen, who has benefited from this. We've said Lamar Jackson. These guys who are much of their game is predicated on their legs and also on this play. So if you think about it from the perspective of you get the hike, you can no longer put the ball with fear of the defense doing anything in front of you and into somebody's chest or their stomach. So what it's getting rid of is when you do that and you're moving with them, they're waiting for either the middle linebacker to engage or for one of the ends to engage one of them. Then they make their read based off that. Now, this play has been very OP. That's why you see a lot of people use it who are able to. I feel like I've even seen Brady run it maybe once or twice this past year.
Everybody has.
Incredible.
It's more. It's been more prevalent with the wide receivers, right? The wide receiver coming across, and then that kind of
absolutely.
Fake.
Absolutely, yeah. So that'll also run into the effect of you can still shovel past the ball, right? So let's say you were to catch the ball, you could pitch it as long as the ball is out of your hand. From the way that I understand the rule, it is absolutely fine. But if the ball cannot be connected to your hand and be hand off to somebody in front of you, to me, it's a big rule change. I don't know how. It seems like it's going to be such a judgment call too, because they say parallel or behind. Well, at what point is it not parallel anymore? Is it right here? Is it shoulder to shoulder? Where does it become not parallel?
I think it's going to be the nature of the play, and I think that you're going to see all of these offensive coordinators adjust their plays for that. So instead of that wide receiver coming in front, that wide receiver is now going to have to run behind the quarterback, and then you're going to also have where the wide receiver is coming back, and now the running back is going to have to time it as well. And you're going to see this T pattern over there. I think that what you're talking about as far as stuffing it in somebody's thing, I think that, as long as the motion is coming from behind, I think it'll be fine. If I hand it off.
I see what you did there. I really do see what you did there. As long as you're stuffing it in somebody's thing, the motion from behind will be okay.
I think so.
Listen, happy birthday to you.
I think so. 2023, here we are. I think that as long as that running back or whomever, the motion is starting from behind the quarterback, not in front of him, I don't think you're going to see anything call. The reason why I said I didn't think it was a big deal, because as to your point, Shanahan, the McVays, the offensive guru types that you've seen, I haven't seen any big outrage over this rule change. I haven't seen anything even on ESPN or anything of that nature. So either A, it hasn't been fully implemented as we might might suspect, or B, they have an easy way to get around it. Now, to your point, the
That's why I
quarterbacks
was
like
so
Justin,
shocked.
like Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts, the top 2 rushing quarterbacks of last year. I think that you saw that a lot with these guys, and that's exactly why they were so successful, especially Justin Fields. Obviously, I watched more of him, but as soon as that receiver, whomever would come over, and he would kind of put it over there, you see all of the DBs suck in or suck to whatever side he was going, and then he would peel out and run the other way. This is just going to allow those DBs to sit back and ball hawk a little bit more. But I think, honestly, you'll probably see these offensive plays just make some type of small adjustment to where they can still get that same thing. But I don't know. Like I said, until I see that these coaches and these offensive people and even the quarterbacks being like, what the hell is this? Like I don't see it being a big part of the game, but we'll see. I mean, that's why we play the games.
Yeah, and I was shocked, and then when I I got the text about it, and when I started doing the research about it, I'm like, this is actually a thing. I can't believe that nobody's talked about this, because it does seem like a big deal to me. To your point, I'm sure they'll find a way around it. But it to me, that was such a big part of so many. Like, you saw so many of those Justin Fields plays where he would bury the ball into Montgomery or whoever it was, and then pull it out, and then boom, he was quick enough to get around the end, and then it was a track meet from there. And he had a lot of huge runs last year that came in that manner as well. So I do think we've gone to a point where we have made it so offensive friendly that I don't mind doing something to kind of help the defense and even the playing field a little bit. But this would seem like a large step.
Absolutely.
Well. So we'll see what kind of gets implemented.
And speaking of the NFL being offensive friendly, we're putting the emphasis that we see on the tight ends, the wide receivers. There's a lot of uproar in the NFL in regards to the running back position, which we've spoken about numerous times before. As a position that is, I guess if you want to call it leaned on for the most, I do believe that, they're at least 50% of the carries, on most plays. But I guess as we move more and more to a pass offense, it's not quite as much. But the running back's getting no love. And we talked about this before. We talked about where you have to pay a position. We've seen all of the salary cap and the franchise tags go up for every other position except for the running backs, which has either remained stagnant or actually dropped. And we're talking about $10 million, $10.1 million for a running back. And we all know that the running back take the grunt of everything. They're the ones in the trenches going through. And there's been a lot of uproar between these guys as far as what we're getting paid. And we talked about this, I do believe, last year and even at the beginning of this year. I can't remember exactly. But the NFL just doesn't value the running back position because they're a dime a dozen. There's very, very few running backs that possessed a gap over the remaining running backs that they're going to face. Now, what I'm talking about this is you take a DeAndre Hopkins, right? You take a DeAndre Hopkins versus a Chase Claypool. There is a huge gap there, correct? There's a huge gap. You take a David Montgomery versus a Pollard. There is a gap there, but is it as big of a gap that you see with the wide receivers? No, it's not. No. You looked at the Zekes, and every time that, to my opinion, that the NFL has paid a running back, it hasn't panned out. You paid Zeke $15 million a year, and 2 years later, he's gone, out. Has he been signed?
No, he's still a free agent.
That's what I'm saying. So I
so is Dalvin Cook. So is
that's what I'm saying.
Guys out there, Leonard Fournette's out there still. Like there's dudes out there.
But you look at Leonard Fournette was basically outplayed by White last year, who is a young guy. We're talking about the pay gap disparity in the NFL. The money is going to the big playmakers where the skill gap is bigger. Let's talk about quarterbacks. You tell me the top 5 quarterbacks between the next 5 quarterbacks and the next 5 after that. The skill gap between 1 and 8 is a big skill gap. You're talking about Patrick Mahomes and what were we talking about? Number 8.
Number 8 paid or number 8 who's like the 8th best quarterback?
Yeah, the 8th best quarterback. Who do you think is? Just throw it out. I know that we're not going to break it down all the way. I mean, we're talking about maybe
Lamar.
There's a controversy.
I don't. It's not a controversy. I just like. Well,
let's just do this. We
Jalen
consider.
Hurts, I don't.
We consider Josh Allen one of the top 5s, correct?
Without a doubt. I
okay.
think Herbert,
So let's just look at that. So let's just take Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes. Is there a skill gap there? Yes, there is.
There is a skill gap.
That's what I'm saying. So that skill gap, money wise, is justified or is explainable, right? But then I look at like what a David Montgomery did versus what Dalvin Cook did last year. Is there a big pay gap there, a big skill gap to warrant paying somebody else $8 million more a year, or $5 million or $6 million? I don't think that. I think that that's what you're seeing. And, you know, the running backs have a point. They're not getting any love, but I'm sorry, guys. It's because it is what it is. It is what it is. And I agree that you guys carry the load on your backs and you guys should be paid. And, you know, you got offensive linemen that are making more than you. You got defensive linemen that are making more than you. You basically everybody except for kickers and punters. And they're coming close. They're within $4 million. But then you could also go on the same token. You know, a good field goal kicker, a good place kicker can win or lose you the game. You know, so it's just, it's pretty interesting to see. But I think it just goes back to the point that we were talking about. The NFL just doesn't value the running back position. I don't think it's going to change.
I don't think there's any way for it to change. I will say this. This is a stat that I received. TJ sent it to me, and then Tyson told me that he saw the same segment on ESPN. But
TJ's inside sources.
From 2015 until now, the quarterback franchise tag went from $18 to $32 million for the year. The wide receiver franchise tag has gone from $12 million to $20 million a year. And the running back tag has gone from $11 million to now $10.1 million per year. To me, that's egregious. I think when you talk about the devaluing of running backs, there's been a few instances that we've seen. And we can talk about who's guilty of it, you know, whether it's greed, whether it's whatever. I think if you look at a guy like Bill Belichick, right? I think Bill Belichick was one of the first people to implement and is one of the constructors of this system that we don't care about running backs, right? Because Belichick had years where he took, you know, a Lawrence Maroney, a Corey Dillon at the end of his career, a LeGarrette Blount possibly, years where he had, you know, Rex Burkhead to go along with, you know, Jonas Gray fills in and runs for 200 yards and 4 touchdowns and then gets benched the very next week, you know. So Belichick was one of the biggest proponents of, we're going to start it as this is not a skill-based thing, in my opinion. This is more about what we see in terms of a system-wide thing to go with. So my phone is blowing up. I apologize. I don't know if you can hear it through there, but my phone is just not stop ringing.
I can't, anyway, but I'm just glad I don't hear the desk banging, bro. So I'm just counting my blessings on my birthday. I appreciate it.
I'm trying to be better.
I got hallelujah, baby.
I'm trying to be better. Now my issue comes with, we look at the running back situation as these guys are running backs. They sit in the backfield, but let's also take into effect, right? A lot of times they're blockers, right? So a lot of times they turn into a second offensive lineman. A lot of times that offensive lineman is never going to turn into a running back, right? Most of the time, these running backs are slot receivers, you know, or guys who are catching anywhere from, you know, 40 to 80 balls in a year, you know, better than a lot of your regular receivers that you have that are out there as well. And so these things need to be factored in. I heard a few different opinions on what to do. And in my opinion, I told Jeremy that I wanted some numbers about, you know, guys and what they make in terms of wide receivers or different stuff like that. But I guess at the end of the day, that's not really important. We know that the running backs, Saquon and these guys are going to make 10.9 or 10.1 million, whatever it is this year. And there are guys like Marquez Valdes-Scantling who are making $11 million. It's egregious. Hollywood Brown making $14 million. Egregious, right? You can't tell me that Justin Tucker making $6 million a year is only worth $4 million less than Saquon Barkley to their team when Saquon Barkley touches the ball as much as he does. You know,
well, I think
seems like
that
can go a position. Well, now, we say, where do we fix this? How do we fix this? There's a couple different opinions, and if you look at what the NBA has done, where they have risers in their contract. So let's say you're a running back, right, and you get drafted in the first round. Well, if you get drafted in the first round, that team has control over you for 5 years. You're on your rookie contract. They can pick up your 5th-year option. That is 5 years of your life that you are devoted to this one contract that you have to sign with this one team. To me, that's got to change. And there should be risers based off of incentives. The problem with this is that it's not going to get signed, and the CBA is not up for 7 years. So running backs, you are just in a pickle right now. There's nothing that you can do. There's nowhere for you to go. You can scream, you can yell, you can say you want change, but until, like, if the owners were to come together and say, yes, we need to do this, let's get this going, then it could happen. But right now, there's no definitive answer. But I think if you were able to, let's say, you perform really well, and maybe whatever you get is incentive based, year to year off that, or maybe you get a void year on your contract, or one less year of team control or something like that. That could be an answer. My opinion is that these guys just need to be paid more upfront, because they're going to devote 5 to 6 years of their life. They're probably going to get CTE, which I know that they're signing up for as well too, and I understand that's all built into this whole entire thing. But to me, whenever you played football, the best athlete, the best everything that was on the field, what position did they play? Running back, right? Because they touched the ball the most. They always ran with the ball. They were blocked. They were able to catch. They did everything. And we're devaluing these guys when they're the best athletes on the field. Something's got to change in my opinion.
Well, I'll tell you the reason why it's not going to change. And this is just strictly from a numbers perspective. Look at the salary cap, okay? Who's going to take the pay cut to pay the running backs more? Who's going to do it?
Nobody's taking a pay cut.
That's what I'm talking about. So therefore,
there's not enough money for all of them to make it.
If you look at a salary cap and a team trying to make a salary cap, and you got receivers that you're paying $25-30 million a year, you got quarterbacks that you're paying $40-50-60 million a year, then you got offensive linemen that you're now paying $15-16 million a year, you've got DBs that are now making $20 million a year. Yes, somebody's going to have to take a pay cut in order to elevate the running back status, because as we're looking at the status quo and salary cap issues, this is where the levels are. This is where everyone's pay is. So yes, in order to give the running backs more money, as we've talked about, someone's going to have to take a pay cut. Some position is going to have to remain stagnant in order to create that gap. It's not necessarily a matter of, because let's just talk about salary cap. So every year the salary cap goes up, correct? Well, guess what? The quarterback salary goes up. The wide receiver position salary goes up. These are the most important positions that we're valuing. Everyone's goes up. So if everyone's position is still going up, somebody's got to take a cut, bro. It's just the way that it's going to go. And I don't think that you're going to see these. You don't see the wide receivers pounding the dirt on Twitter, being like, pay these guys, do you? No, you don't. You don't see.
Well, my issue is that, like, let's look at the difference in value, right? You're talking about, a guy like Patrick Mahomes is going to make $50 million a year. You're telling me that Daniel Jones is only worth 10 million less because he's making 40.
But that's what I'm talking about. But that's the way that
there's enough money to pay all that money to a guy like Daniel Jones. But you can only give $10 million to Saquon Barkley. Just seems disingenuous to me.
Well, I don't believe that, because the last time I saw that they offered Saquon Barkley $15 million a year and he turned it down. So
that was probably a bad move.
Exactly. So that's what we talk about a lot of these things, and we talked about numerous times with the Roquan Smith deal and everything of that nature, is we don't really know what these guys are even asking for. Oh, okay.
Gap Wedge Wednesday should be coming up very soon. Jeremy, do you have a moment here to step in?
We can just bring the boys in now.
Sure.
Yeah, Jeffrey's got a.
Cool, Jeremy. Yeah, I got to run. I just got a text that I got to give a phone call to. So I got to log off for a minute. So if you can go ahead and take over with Tyson for a little bit, and then whenever the boys are ready, go ahead and get them in here. I appreciate it, and if I can be back, I will be in a moment. Okay.
Go away. Take your time. We'll get it filled up. Take care of your stuff.
Thanks, boys.
Jay Swan, come on in there, big 3-time, because I don't want my big face up on the whole thing. Do you have a camera today?
Oh man, you're gonna put me on the spot like that?
No, you definitely don't have to do that. But yeah, so just to kind of recap a little bit on this NFL talk here a little bit, it's just I think that it's something that's not gonna change, just for the fact of that someone else is gonna have to take a pay cut in order to free up a little bit more of this cap space, and I don't see anybody doing that. I don't see anybody saying, you know what, I make too much money. Let's go ahead and let's give some away to somebody else. So we'll see what happens.
No, and I don't think so. And that's something that I just said to you in the chat. I saw this. I just found this stat. It's the average salary for a running back. So we're talking averages. Is $1.8 million. Now that's for all running backs throughout the NFL. The average salary for kickers, $2.26 million.
Right, but the biggest reason for that is most running backs play off their rookie contract, and that's about it. As a running back, you have such a short shelf life. You're looking to get your to fulfill your rookie running back contract and get one more. That's it. You're only in this league for 8 to 10 years And I think, to Jeff's point, I think that's something that could change as far as running back contracts go, about the 5 years, being locked in for 5 years. And I think that's why the position is not valued very much, because in the next 5 years, you can pick up a running back in the third, fourth round and get somebody that can plug in and give you the same type of production, unless you have somebody that just blows away the competition, which I think that we're seeing is the running backs are kind of all in the same pool. And, okay, so you might get a little bit more yardage. You might get a little bit more production out of this one guy, but I also have a rookie contract over here that I'm paying $250,000 to. Do I really need to pay this guy $16 million? Or can I put more of a pressure on my wide receivers, my quarterbacks to make those runs and do those things? And I just don't see it changing. I really don't. I just, we've said it numerous times and it sounds shitty, but the way that the league views it, I apologize, is that running backs are a dime a dozen. I don't know.
Yeah. I see just something interesting. I found we might have to call this the Todd Gurley rule, because back in 2018 the Rams signed Todd Gurley to a 4-year $57 million extension, even though he had 2 years left in his contract. They had to pay him they basically paid him $20 million more than they needed to, and then 2 years later they cut him.
Yeah,
because of knee problems.
Look at Zeke, same thing.
Yeah.
He got paid, and guess he never performed again. So I don't. Well, I mean, he performed, but just not to the level that he was performing. And then he got outplayed by Pollard, and then he ended up losing his job altogether. And now he's not even signed. But kudos to him, he got his bag to secure his long-term contract. But like I said, I don't know what contract. And that's about it. So have you talked to the boys? Are they ready to get in here?
They are ready. I'm bringing them in right now.
All right, so we're going to bring in the boys for a little Gap Wedge Wednesday. We do have the Open Championship coming up out of Liverpool, I do believe, this week. So we're looking together. We have some very interesting pairings going on. So bear with us as I try to break it down and cover over what Jeffrey used to lead on this. But boys, welcome in. How are we doing today? Chad, I see that you're unmuted, so we'll start with you. How are you today, good sir?
Good. How you guys doing?
Well, we're hanging in there, man. We're hanging in there, talking about your Cowboys once again and using Zeke as the poster child of why not to pay a running back. Just the typical Wednesday stuff.
Hey, makes sense. I mean, they proved that you pay them too much for too long, then it doesn't work out for you, and you're stuck with them for a couple years you don't want them.
Absolutely. Paul, I see that we're unmuted. How are we doing today, my friend?
Tyson.
Good to have you.
Are we ready?
Go ahead.
It's your birthday today?
It is my birthday. Yes, it is.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you so much.
I wish I could do that celebratory emoji thing or whatever that goes crazy, but I don't have access to that like our 3-time award-winning producer.
That's good. But I did forget to bring in your golf clap though. Welcome, boys. Yes. Yes. So we have the Open this week. We got a lot of interesting stuff going on in regards to this. Paul, I know that Jeff usually starts with you, or who does the breakdown of the course? I apologize. Is it Paul or Chad?
Yeah. Normally I do it. If you don't mind me deviating from the system, we had 2 events last week. While Rory winning as a single.
Yeah, we had the Scottish Open, and then we had the Barbasol, the beefer of the Barbasol last week.
Yeah. So Rory winning as a heavy favorite. Maybe looks like it wasn't a great week for us, but we did fine at the Scottish. Chad tipped Ewan Ferguson, who ended up coming through as a top 10 or 20. Fleetwood and Patton maybe kind of faded on Sunday, but ended up in the top 10. We were looking at Bobby Mack there at number 2, almost in a playoff, if not for historically good putting for Rory on the last 2 holes.
I was talking to Jeffrey about that too. I mean, Kim really did it to me on Sunday there. He kind of faltered there at the end. That kind of cost me the win this week.
Yeah. I stopped looking at the standings in our pool. and then
probably a good thing.
And then maybe was informed later on in the day that I ended up at the top, which was kind of a whipped cream on shit situation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any one of us were really glued to the standings this week and pulling for that big win this week. I think it was kind of one of those. Oh, okay, well, that's great. Well, you finished close to what I thought.
Yeah,
I should have won that pool, damn it, because Bobby Mack would have got me in.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to. Chad had somebody in there. Then, of course, Jeffrey off the schneid, who conveniently is not here to face the music today, put the jinx on old Chad.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
I was going to bring that up, pointing that out. Yeah,
and he had some strong comments about that on Monday, saying that that he continued to play well, and I do believe he said he birdied 18. So he said, Chad, your comments and your derogatory remarks are unwelcome, and that he had nothing to do with it. That ever since he put out that message, that the guy played pretty well towards the end. I don't know, Chad. What do you think?
Well, he did bogey 17 right after that, and then without that bogey, he's in the playoff.
But then he birdied 18, right?
Yeah, but that was just meant to be.
Yeah.
But I think also there was a whole I want to say it was like 14 or 15 that he hadn't missed a fairway or hadn't missed a green in like 9 straight holes, and Jeff put that out there, and all of a sudden a gust of wind and he's up 10 yards short, and just like looking at his club like, what the hell happened? Little Gus
from the God costume room.
Yeah, it came from Jeff. He blew the ball backwards. I'm like, Jesus, here we go.
Well, he does have a lot of hot air in him.
I wasn't going to make any comments about that when he did that. I just left alone and just stayed mad to myself.
So once again, even though in a down week with some, I guess we can call it less than stellar tournaments, the boys continue to find winners out there. So congratulations to the boys. And I think Rory, I picked Rory because, obviously he's from Ireland. He's used to those conditions. And I think he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder going into the Open this week, which is why I picked him that week. Because usually I will never pick a favorite just because, again, the odds are so bad that, it's just not worth it. Plus, on that one, you could have really just picked the top 10 players. But I think, does this make him the favorite going into the championship this week?
He is.
He is the championship. All right.
Yeah, he's the favorite this week. Scheffler has given up the crown of favorite for the first time in quite some time. Rory is I think 5.5 to 1, and Scheffler's something like 7. Wow.
Well, are you ready to get into this week and see what we got going on?
Yeah, I think we can do it.
All right. Paul, you gonna break down the course for us? We're at Liverpool this week, correct?
Hoy Lake, England, Royal Liverpool.
Ooh, sounds fancy.
Yeah, you will never walk alone. We have a course that is par 71. It is tight. It is modern links or traditional links, but it's not going to play like the old course at St. Andrews. We're not talking about football fields of fairways. A lot of danger, a lot of landmines, a lot of stuff you don't want to find yourself into off the fairway. I don't know if you've seen the pictures of 18.
I have not.
OB
I did see that. Yeah, I did see that. Jeff sent that.
Yeah, Jeff put that in the group chat. OB is like an office desk to the right of the fairway.
Now, does that go all the way up to the green? Because I know it dips in close there, but it looks to be like about 100 yards out. So I don't know. Is that a spot where the players are going to be going, or is that just a shot where it is close and it does come in, but that's not an area where the balls are going to be landing. You know what I mean by that?
I do.
Yeah.
I get it. It's kind of
is that an active OB? Like, is that trouble where it is now, or does it go all the way up to the green, or how do we foresee that playing into the golfer's shot structure?
I think I read it does go all the way up to the green. Wow. So it's going to be in play.
Well, 18 it's a par 4 and it's 483 yards. So I don't think we're going to have to worry about guys driving that green.
Right. So that's what I was kind of saying. So maybe their second shot is going to kind of fly over that area. But if it goes up close to the green, I mean, I can attest to this. I played in a tournament in college, and it was just like that. OB all around the green where you couldn't go long. and I hit it to the middle of the green, but I hit a sprinkler head on the middle of the green, and it flew OB. So, you know,
That's some luck.
yeah, well, you know, this is just the Thomas name, brother. We're used to it. This is just how we roll. So again, if it's that close, you know, that could definitely spell trouble. But then again, you're gonna have the gallery around there, right? Stopping balls for you.
If you're
Only
George
if
Speed.
Yeah.
So we're
I
not
think I
looking.
stole the words out of Chad's mouth right there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, buddy.
So we're not looking for the long ball hitters this week. We're looking for the placement players, correct?
Yep. This is one of the positional courses that you can't really spray the ball everywhere, like Paul was saying. That's why we're looking at a fading of Cam Smith, because as great as he is with everything else, he does like to spray the ball. So you don't want to put yourself in positions that you can hit the greens. It's very, as your favorite word, penal if you're not in the fairways in a course like this, because of the fescue and all the dangers that lurk around, like pot bunkers, penalty areas, you know. So you're gonna dial it down a bit, like 2006 when Tiger he never hit a driver practically. So, you know, it's one of those type of courses.
And we have some interesting pairings going on for this for the first round. Did you guys see the pairings? Did you see who Brooks
I like the Brooks and Cantley.
You think
Someone
that's
asked him-
you think that's on purpose?
I think so. Someone asked Brooks, like, you gonna talk to him? He said, no. Well, wait, I might tell him to hurry up.
It's definitely going to be some good entertainment here. So, all right. So, Paul, who do we like? Who's our top heavy predictions? And let's get into it. What are we looking for this week, and who do we look to perform?
So the model that we ran this week has more to do with accuracy off the tee, approach, proximity to the hole, stuff you're looking at for guys that you maybe forget about. Some guys on the top, for me, I'm going with Colin Morikawa, and as I mentioned last week, I think Ricky Fowler has a good chance to show up somewhere at the top of the board this week.
Ooh, the Ricky Flower. I like that.
Yeah, no.
Fairways
bad.
and greens, guys.
He has been playing just so well lately. I just wonder, though, if he puts a little bit too much pressure on himself. But we'll see, definitely. Chad,
Maybe getting the monkey off his back over there at wherever it was that he won.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll
Rocky
help
Mortgage.
him out.
Chad, who do you like on the top heavy part?
Up top, I'm gonna go back to. I guess one of the most clutch major players it's been lately. Brooks Koepka. The way he's playing right now is just unreal. He's a live guy, so it does sound funny coming out of my mouth, but whatever. Can't really stop greatness, can you?
That's what I've been saying for years.
And then,
see-
obviously for you, but
We'll see how that first round pairing affects him, you know, because obviously that is going to have an effect on him. He's said it numerous times about how, you know, Patrick Cantlay, the slow play, and, you know, it does affect him. So I'd be very curious to see how it affects him for that first round, and hopefully he doesn't get paired with somebody again the second round. We'll see.
well, the funny thing is my other guy is Patrick Cantlay. I think these two are going to actually want to beat each other so bad that they're going to play two of the greatest first two rounds ever.
I like that. I definitely like that because there is something about beating somebody that you don't like.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And I feel like you want to beat your friends, but you want to beat your enemies even more. So
absolutely. So you're going Patrick Cantlay and Brooks Koepka on the top half?
on the top, yeah.
How about
You can also go back to the well on Fleetwood and Hatton. They're both high up on our model, and they're English boys, so they would love to win here at home and it'd be a major also. And they're both in great form no matter what happened on Sunday. You can't count them out.
correct? Yeah, Tommy Fleetwood's been playing some good golf. He just couldn't put it together Sunday last week.
Yeah.
But, you know, outside of that, he was definitely right there. Who do you got on your mid tier list?
My mid tier, I'm going with I got about 3. I like Corey Connors. He's a fairway and approach guy. Same with Tom Kim. Tom Kim doesn't hit it that far, but he always hits fairways, it seems like. And a guy that I thought was going to do well last week, but maybe he was just more focused on winning the Open. Another Englishman, Justin Rose. I think he's got a good chance. He's one of the pieces we look at every year for the majors. It's a 10-year trend. He was actually top of the board on that, so I feel like he has a good chance.
I like the idea of picking the Englishmen, and, like the Scottish and the Irish, the people that are used to this kind of weather, because they do usually perform on there. I thought that Justin Rose would have had a better Scottish Open than he did, which, he was kind of not good. I thought he was going to perform better than that, so hopefully I agree with your pick there, as far as the Open, him getting his shit together over there as well.
Yeah.
Paul, who do you got for your mid-tier, my friend?
I'm going with Hideki Matsuyama, who actually rates out as the top guy in our model.
Really?
Again, shout out Fantasy National Golf Club. I'll also take a second and say Pat Mayo, Jeff Feinberg, Matt Wiley, Rick Rungood, Rick Gaiman, the guys from Steve Bamford, and the guys from the Golf Betting Systems podcast. We've listened to these guys and shared their information for coming on 5-6 years. So
awesome.
Just like to throw out some credit where it's due. We get to I know we gave some credit last week to some Twitter handles and stuff like that, but the information that we use doesn't come to us in a dream.
Correct. Shout out to all the statisticians back there crunching the numbers, putting out the data for these guys to be able to crunch and utilize into their model to be able to give you these awesome picks. Thank you, everyone out there. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Hideki's at the top of our model. And another guy who, Michael Kim on Twitter, Michael Kim, PGA Pro, mentioned that the tee shots at Royal Liverpool, Hoylake, England, are going to be similar to what we saw at the Wells Fargo and the U.S. Open. I'm not sure, Tyson, if you remember, but one man won both of those events. His name is Wyndham Clark.
When you say your tee shots are going to be relative to that, what are you talking about there?
So it's important to be positional, hit fairways, have the right spot.
So the guys with the Wherewithal did not just go out there and get the driver every time, but might hit the 3-iron off the tee to be able to get into a certain position to get the yardage and the angles that they want to be able to get to their approach.
That's right. And whether it's a guy who can hit his driver with the accuracy of a 3-iron, or a guy who maybe can club down a la Bryson 2 years ago and hit a 3-iron 300 yards. It was probably anecdotal, and it probably won't turn into anything, but he played well at the Scottish. It's not a guy who I had on my radar last week, but Wyndham Clark actually impressed me last week. And
watch out for Wyndham.
Based on what we've seen, I think he's another guy where you're going to see him in markets, 80, 60 or 80 to 1. And
Definitely.
And you might get a decent look on him. Maybe see him in a matchup against a more well-known golfer. You win a U.S. Open, you get on the radar, but I don't think anybody's betting Webb Simpson this week. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, there's nothing more frustrating when you put the driver away and you pull out the 3-iron to hit the right shot and you dunk it in the woods anyway. Man, that just gets you.
My only fear with Wyndham is I saw a stat that he was kind of high up on not being as accurate when there's a lot of trouble around on the fairways. So I'm just throwing that out there. I do like the pick, but if he starts to lose a little bit, he's one of those guys like Minwoo Lee and Kurt Kitayama that they can get themselves into trouble too.
Absolutely. So, Paul, who do you have for your Flyers? We've done the top tier, we've done mid tier. Who are these guys that might just be sitting along the road? So we kind of mentioned Wyndham Clark here a little bit as probably somebody that might show up. But who do we have deep in the pockets that just might be able to pull out something to surprise us all?
Sure. Sure, yeah, the long shots, if you will, guys who may be on our model that we did not expect. A guy by the name of Lee Hodges.
There's a name you
Does
don't hear every day, boys.
A lot of the things right. He's 14th on our model, and he's super cheap on DraftKings. He's 6,400. Look out for the Hurley Long landmine I threw out last week. That guy, he was 7 over after 4 holes.
Man,
But I told you, look, he could have the week of his life. He could also miss the cut.
You put a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, Hurley Long, confirmed listener. Yeah, and the other fella, Just Luton, Euro Tour guy, hits fairways, hits greens, 6,200 on DraftKings. He's a guy you might squeeze in there and maybe get a top 20 on.
Some names that I have never heard before coming out of the depths out of Parlay Par Putts for the Open. Good stuff there. Good stuff. Chad, who do we have for your long shots, my friend?
my long shots, I will go with a couple guys that are definitely a fairway and approach known. One's a little lefty. His name's Brian Harmon.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Phil Mickelson there. I got a little tingly inside.
No.
Got a little tingly.
He's actually played under the radar very, very well lately. And he's just a guy that just keeps plodding along, keeps getting his top 5s, 10s, 20s. Maybe he'll pull out a win. Who knows? Another guy is Russell Henley. I want to say he's the most accurate driver this year. It might not be totally accurate, but he's definitely a top 5 driver of the ball as far as accuracy. So he's probably going to be in the fairway a lot. So I feel like he has a chance as long as he can get that putter going. But that's the one good thing about the greens over on the pond. The greens are slower, which actually makes bad putters better for some reason. So, it's one of those. And if you're looking for a couple of flyers, like real deep, for like a DK lineup or something like that, you got guys like Antoine Rosner, Ewan Ferguson, and I thought Paul was going to talk about this guy, but Matthew Jordan is a member there, and he's been there since he was 7 or something like that. So he might know the course well enough to perform very well if you're looking for some flyers cheap.
Good. And I know the 3-time has a few questions for you. Jeremy, you got some questions for the boys?
Some of my models that I've been looking at, one guy that they say has been driving the ball well and actually has been playing a little under the radar and finishing well, Minwoo Lee. What are you guys' thoughts on Minwoo Lee?
I mentioned him earlier with Wyndham Clark about he's actually the top guy in a model of when there's danger lurking off of the tee in range. He's the top guy of spraying the ball when there's danger out there. It's like it gets in his head. So I would fade him this week.
Okay, another guy that we talked about. I didn't hear. I'm sorry, my feed messed up for a minute. But could a former winner, Dustin Johnson, is somebody I've actually had to look on the radar today for this weekend.
I'll let Paul talk about that because he actually mentioned him to me right before we came on.
It's tough with the live guys to get accurate modeling right now. But Jeremy, just making sure that when you say you're looking at models, you're not talking like Victoria's Secret. You're talking about
because we know Paulina is probably one of those. That's Dustin Johnson. Paulina's
he prefers the plus model magazines.
Oh, there we go.
Right. He's a model guy.
Yeah, the ones that fly under the radar. You know what I mean?
So with Minwoo Lee, he's in the last 24 rounds, he's 122 in the field on fairways gained, and we feel like fairways gained is a more important stat this week than others.
Than any other Open.
Dustin Johnson is 96th in the field in fairways gained. In fairways gained for difficult to hit fairways, he's 126th. So while he can club down, he's a guy with enough length to take out the penal nature of this rough.
There he is again. Yeah, I tell you, you boys are just making my birthday great. Thank you.
Hey, that's what we're here for, you know.
I appreciate that.
We might be curating this review for Tyson's birthday. Yeah, Dustin Johnson's certainly a guy who has the tee to green ability, approach play, and has the length to take out some of the trouble, and also the wedge stuff and around the green play to finish somewhere at the top in a major. I think if you're going to take a live guy and it's not Brooks Koepka, I think Dustin Johnson's probably the best you're going to do.
Besides Phil Mickelson, of course. I mean, let's just put that out there, you know.
So Tyson, while we're on the topic of old guys who probably won't compete this week, happy birthday, by the way.
Nice one.
Padraig Harrington.
Ooh, I like him.
Is probably the old ass that I'm gonna say is gonna show up.
I think he'll perform.
Yeah, I think if you're looking for the gray beard,
if you're looking for a PGA Champions Tour guy to win,
where's Colin Montgomery when you need him?
On his couch.
Yeah.
Oh Monty.
It's in the Ewan Ferguson fan club.
I just saw that Darren Clark and John Daly are also in this. In case you wanted to go old,
I'll tell you
if you need guys to shoot 12 over.
Yes.
Hey, I'll tell you one thing as we wrap this up. You know, I'll tell you some of these old guys. You know, back when I was in high school and I was shooting about 75, 76. You know, bombing the ball. There was always those two guys at the course that were like 70 years old and only hit it about 250 yards that were beating me shooting scratch golf. So I'm not saying that these guys are in that category, but sometimes those older guys, that's right, fairways and greens, those guys that just don't hit it as far anymore, but have that laser accuracy tend to show up. Not in maybe professional sports, but, you know, I'm just throwing that out there that us old guys can still, you know, we can shoot it every once in a while.
Yeah, back when you were in high school and then you got finished the round and you untied your horse and you got back home. Yeah, I mean, that's
Chad, hold on. I realize that you feel comfortable right now, Chad, because I have semi-retired from the game of golf, but I'm coming back, buddy. I'm coming back, and when I come back, it's on. Me and you, it's on.
Paul talking, by the way, that was Paul.
We have similar tones in our voice.
Well, just transfer everything I said about Chad and insert the name Paul, and I'm coming for you. All right, I'll be back.
I'm ready.
I'll be back. Don't you worry. The flexibility of this 45-year-old man is about to whip up some young pup ass.
Oh, man, you're 45?
I am.
I feel 45 today.
Yeah,
hey, bro,
old.
only 10 more years and I get to go to retirement community. I'm ready, baby. Woo! I'm ready for my 55 and up community.
Yeah, those are nice, aren't they?
I love them, dude. Love them. Go down and visit my parents. It's just so quiet. Oh, it's just serene. I'm looking forward to it.
A lot of STDs.
Well, that yeah, but you know, fortunately, I am married and I am faithful to my wife. So unless she goes out and grabs something, I think I'm pretty much okay. But we'll leave that for another. We'll save that for another show. Well, boys,
pineapples there, bro.
Upside down pineapples.
Yeah.
Oh. And thank you very much, boys. We got a great championship this week. Hopefully the Open continues to live up to the expectations, as we know it all will. Hopefully we get some weather mixed in there, because that always seems to make the Open just a little bit more fun when you get some of that European weather thrown in the mix there.
A couple days of that, so.
Beautiful. Any last thoughts before we head off to the Open, boys?
Maybe go back to the well on Bob McIntyre again. He's playing well, so I would say
last minute flyer, Bob McIntyre. You heard it here first.
20.
Alex Fitzpatrick is Matt Fitzpatrick's brother.
Isn't that the guy that you were knocking on from?
Yeah, the week
in the live tournament or something.
No, it was Zurich. I was like, oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got
charity.
Yeah, you got what a field we have here. His brother's playing.
They ended up being top 5.
Yeah. The old Parley Par Putts curse.
The old Parley Par Putts first.
They're great.
A reverse jinx.
It is. Well, thank you very much, boys. Looking forward to a great week. Another week where you guys continue to produce the top picks for all of our listeners out there. So thank you very much for your time, your efforts, and look forward to seeing you guys catch a few more tickets this week.
We miss you, Jeff.
Thank you. See you later.
Have a good one, boys.
See you, Tyson. Happy birthday.
Appreciate you. Well, Jeremy, you got anything else? I think that's going to about do it for us. I got to take the dogs into the old groomers. They're getting all prettied up today. We got a little pool out there for them. My wife's been having them out there in the little doggy pool. But anything to add before we close out this segment, my friend?
I'm looking forward to this weekend. And they mentioned the weather. Tyson, Saturday and Sunday, 88 and 84% chances of rain at Hoyle Lake at the Royal Liverpool.
I wonder if those forecasts are like it is in Florida, though, where I wake up and it's a 97% chance of thunderstorms and rain all day. And, by 3 o'clock, it's down to 2% and there's no rain all day long. I wonder if the forecasts over there in the summertime are like that, or if they actually do their job correctly and things actually work out. I don't know. I'd be very curious to see. But you said it's what day?
Saturday and Sunday.
I would have rather seen it Friday, Saturday. I'd like to see a clean finish. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to see everybody out there in sloshes on Sunday trying to put together a win.
But just pick your mutters like you like. Pick your mutters.
Yeah, mutter what a muzza. His mutter was mutter. Well, that's going to do it for today on the Under 4 Fan. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. We'll be back Monday with the weekend recap. We'll recap all of the F1 action, any more stupid NFL rule changes, and, of course, we'll be back to talk about the Open, and we'll be back Wednesday again to break it down even further. Everybody, have a great day. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you. We'll see you back in on Monday, and keep playing.